Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a pretty powerful technique for getting what you want in a way that, well, it seems to defy all logic. It's a practice that teaches you to achieve your goals by first, and this is the key, letting them go. So we're kicking off with this thought from Einstein because the source material we're exploring today is really all about how miracles are made. Not in some flashy, supernatural sense, but as a totally natural, systematic process. The text we're looking at suggests that if we could just see the miracle in a single flower, our entire perspective would shift. So, what's the secret to seeing the world like that? Well, to get there, first, we've got to talk about a problem I think a lot of us feel. This sense of being disconnected, cut off from our own creativity and intelligence. Life can really feel like a struggle, like you're just pushing a boulder uphill when you're not operating from your center. It's a fascinating paradox, isn't it? We're taught our whole lives that success comes from grinding it out, from persistent hard work. And yet, you have some of the most brilliant minds in history saying their biggest aha moments came when they weren't even trying. This is the big question our source material puts on the table. And it offers an answer from the ancient practice of yoga, called Samyama. It's presented as a really practical method for tapping into this incredible potential that is, supposedly, already inside all of us. The key to unlocking all this potential is what our source calls inner silence. Now, this isn't just about the absence of noise. It's described as something much bigger, an infinite field of pure potential that the whole universe was created from. It's the eternal reality humming away just beneath everything we can see and touch. Okay, so let's really dive into this part because the core idea of Samyama is this powerful, kind of beautiful paradox. It takes our usual ideas about how to achieve things and just flips them completely upside down. We all ask ourselves this, right? Whether it's for love or health or abundance or wisdom, we're all moving towards something we want. But the method here, well, that's what's so radically different. And there it is. That's the heart of the practice. Instead of trying to force an outcome or possess the thing we want, Samyama is a process of systematic surrender, a conscious, deliberate release of our desires inward. This line contains a pretty remarkable promise. The idea is that by surrendering a desire into your inner silence, you allow it to be purified and amplified. So this isn't about giving up on your goals. It's about giving them over to a much greater intelligence that's already inside you. Our source uses this fantastic analogy. Chasing the treasure, the specific thing you want, is like banging on the castle gates from the outside. The practice of Samyama is about moving into the castle itself, about cultivating that state of inner silence. And once you're living in the castle, the treasure is just everywhere. So how does this actually work? What does it look like to practice Samyama? Let's break down the actual technique. Now, technically, Samyama combines these 3 stages of yoga. You've got attention, then the dissolving of that attention, and finally, absorption into silence. But the source makes it really clear that the actual practice is much, much simpler than it sounds. So the technique is incredibly subtle. After you meditate, when you're in that quiet, restful space, you just pick up the faintest, fuzziest feeling of a word that represents your desire, like love or health. You don't analyze it, you don't visualize it, you just touch the idea once, very gently, and then you just let it go. You rest in that silence for about 15 seconds before doing it again. So here you can really see the 2 paths laid out side by side. The standard approach is what you could call ego projection. We're trying to force an outcome, pushing our will out onto the world. Samyama is the exact opposite. You're releasing your awareness inward, surrendering the outcome, and becoming a channel for a power that flows through you, not from you. Now, this is a really important point to understand. This isn't a technique you can just jump into cold. Samyama is only effective because it builds on top of the inner silence you've cultivated through a consistent meditation practice. Without that foundation of stillness, the source basically says the practice just loses all its power. Okay, and this is where the practice leads to its most profound effects. We start to explore this idea of stillness in action. That moment when the deep inner silence you've cultivated starts to move out and actually shape your world. I love this quote because it just captures the central mystery perfectly. How can silence move? How can stillness be active? Our source says this is the miracle of the human nervous system. It's designed to contain and express something that is both infinite and at the same time completely immovable. So, as the practice deepens, the source text says that practitioners can start to experience what are known in yoga as siddhis, or you could call them supernormal powers. The ancient texts list a whole bunch of them, including these. Now, this is presented not as a guarantee, but as a potential byproduct of deep inner purification. But, and this is a huge but, there's an immediate and very important warning. The practice is described as being morally self-regulating. The moment you get attached to achieving these powers, you actually undermine the whole practice, because attachment is the exact opposite of the inner silence you need for Samyama to work. So the real goal isn't the powers themselves. It's the rise of what's called the active witness. It's when that inner unmoving silence becomes fully integrated with your daily life. You're not just observing life from a distance anymore. You become a conscious channel for a divine, purposeful flow. And here we see the ultimate outcome. As you transform from the inside, your relationship with the world transforms too. The source claims that events that might have been karmic disasters are actually redirected from that place of inner silence, leading to good things. You shift from being a leaf in the wind to a conscious participant in a divine flow. So, after exploring all of this, the paradox, the practice, and the potential, it all really comes down to one simple, but honestly pretty profound personal question. This single question just challenges our most fundamental ideas about control and achievement. It asks us to consider a totally different path, one of trust, of surrender, and of effortless flow. So the question to leave you with is just that. What would you be willing to surrender to find out what comes back? Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.